disability. I'm going to go ahead and do attendance first, and we'll do the reading of the mission statement, and then I'll make that motion for pushing back public comment. So I'll begin with attendance. We'll go around to Levi and then around, and then we'll do online folks. So Haley Glass, present.
Levi Chi, present.
Victor, present.
Matthew Rathman, present.
William Coates.
William Coates, present.
Patrick Cervera, present.
Perfect. And then I think Amelia is the only one joining us online if you just want to.
Present. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you, Amelia. And then do I have any volunteers for the reading of the mission statement? Go for it, Patrick.
To support the evolving needs of the MSU Denver students by advocating in their best interest to enhance the university's experience and opportunities.
Perfect. And then has everybody had a chance to kind of look over the agenda, make sure we're not missing anything on there? All right, before I motion to approve that, I'm going to make a motion to move back public comment time to noon. That way we can give the time to Dr. Simpkins while he's able to join us. Do I have a second?
In that motion.
Any objections? Anyone abstentions? All right, perfect. So we will go ahead and move public comment.
I have something quick I would like to add, Haley.
Yeah, Amelia, what's up?
Because we do have somebody of public comment here, was that confirmed that it was okay? Because I want to make sure that we're prioritizing student voice as well.
Yeah, Amelia, I checked with all three of the individuals that we have here for public comment time, and they were all okay with us moving it back to noon.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Perfect. With that being added, I'm going to go ahead and motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Seconded.
Any objections? Any abstentions? All right, let's go ahead and move forward. We're going to give the floor to Dr. Simpkins.
Thanks, Haley. I just want to start by sort of thanking all of you for your work. I think in the last week alone, I have seen Patrick at 2 meetings, maybe just 1. I've seen Haley, Amelia, you and I seem to email every day. Victor, I see you everywhere I go in the building. And same with other Will, my friend here. And I just really appreciate how visible you are, how present you are, making sure that the student voice is centered in conversations and important committees that are happening on campus. It also gives you a taste of what this bureaucracy feels like sometimes. Back in my old days of being a church member, we had a committee on committees, and sometimes that's what this world feels like. So welcome to the team, for those of you who are new, but just really exciting to see you out and about, and take care of yourselves because you can't do everything. So I want to give you just some quick updates on things that are big conversations that are going on, and then you all ask whatever questions you want. The rest of my time is yours. Obviously, the biggest update is on the student housing plan. We're still moving forward. We had a great conversation with the Board of Trustees in September. Again, this is the Ballfield lot, so you may hear it called the Ballfield Project. And nothing has really changed since the last time we talked. So 2 towers on that lot, 1 tower, affordable workforce housing, and the other tower, student housing. Also, the Early Learning Center would move there, the C2 Hub would move there, and there would be increased food and dining operations. So the food conversations are also continuing to move forward. I am really excited about that one. It's something some of you know I have wanted to improve our food operations on this campus ever since I got here. And you know, there's an opportunity that if we can get the numbers to work, meaning the finances, there's an opportunity that if there's sort of like a small corner market style vendor that opens up on campus, that we can also accept SNAP and EBT on campus. There's only one other school in the country that's been able to do that, University of Louisville in Kentucky. And I think knowing that I've seen one number that puts SNAP recipients on our campus as high as 40%. And so that would be an awesome opportunity to support students and support the work that Rowdy's Corner is doing. So that housing project, we just ran, some of you may have seen it, a student survey to get a sense of where are students living and what kind of appetite is there for on-campus housing. And what we learned was that of the students who are currently renting, whether they're renting from a student housing provider or just off campus somewhere, so take out those who own a home or who are living with family, more than half of our renters would prefer to live on campus at the price points that were included. We actually showed students some sample layouts and said, one like this could be this much dollars per student. So there's a really healthy demand for that on-campus housing, I think, for a number of reasons. Affordability does continue to be the primary driver of how people make that decision. And so we're taking that to heart as we keep moving forward. There will be lots more shared governance updates on the project as we move forward. And so Haley and Levi, watch out for that. We'll probably reach out to you and do some coordinated meetings with faculty senate, council chairs, and staff senate. So that's number one. RTD, they will be on campus likely later in November to do some listening sessions. And I want to highly encourage TSAC to get the word out and encourage students to attend those. It's really important that RTD hears your concerns about service, safety, and cost as we continue to negotiate with them the future of the college pass, but also just the level to which RTD is serving this campus with 3 light rail stops and then the bus lines and the connectivity to Union Station and other places. So please do, AHEC will be putting out the information on that. It'll be in the runner, but we'd love your partnership on getting the word out. The last 2 things, sort of not related to campus infrastructure, the 3 senior student affairs officers met with AHEC last week to talk about SACAB and SACAB advising. And remind me who your SACAB, Victor, okay. And Matt, okay. So we've realized that during the pandemic, the senior leadership of AHEC had an almost 100% turnover, and some of the culture that the campus had built prior to the pandemic was lost in that transition. And so we're trying to go back and say, okay, how do we want to work together? And what I think we're all in alignment on is, SACAB is a statutorily mandated representative body. So you are written into state law that SACAB has to exist. And as such, we have an obligation to support the work of SACAB and really center student voices, just like FACAB and other groups. We're going to be talking about how do we make sure that our campus advisors out of Stephen Kuchiyara's office are at that table, and what role does AHEC play? But those conversations are ongoing. But I think we're all at the table now. So I'm excited about those conversations. To that extent, if you have any feedback that you'd want me to hear, open for it. The last thing that I'll say before I just let y'all grill me, financial aid. It was rough last year because of the FAFSA changes. It's going to be pretty similar this year based on Department of Ed timeline. So it will open, the FAFSA itself will open late again this year. It should have already been opened, but we're looking at December, which means that awarding probably won't happen until mid-spring semester. So we're going to try to tighten the timeline as much as possible because we did not like that students, how late you all got your financial aid awards this year. We're going to try to get that as early as possible. But at some point, we'll be coming to you to ask for your help in just getting the word out to students. It always hurts my heart when I talk to a student who hasn't filled out either the FAFSA or the CASFA for whatever reason, because they're probably leaving money on the table. And we want to make sure everybody fills it out. So whatever, especially grant money that you don't have to repay, we're getting as much of that to folks as possible. And those are my updates. Where would you like to dig in?
Armando.
Apologize, I'm a little
Do you have any update as to why, and I apologize, Stephen, if you feel like I'm jumping the gun with this, but a lot of our student employees have received letters over the week that cause a lot of distress saying that your work study is canceled.
It's because they weren't using it.
They are all employees
Okay.
and been paid.
Yeah. So if a student is currently employed and they got that letter,
Uh-huh.
then somehow in the system, it's not reading that they were being paid out of work study. And so for those individual students, I would make sure that that whoever the supervisor is talking to human resources to make sure that they're being paid out of the right funds.
Okay.
We did see that so the short story is we awarded work study funds to about 801 students this year. That's a very exact number. We awarded it to 801 students this year. Only half of those, according to financial aid records, have actually started using those awards.
Okay.
And so given where we are in the semester, it's time to say, okay, you haven't used the award, so we're taking that award back so that we can go into the wait list of students who wanted an award but didn't get one.
Okay.
What we're finding, though, is that the HR numbers are not matching the financial aid numbers.
Mhm.
They're pulling from the ERP Workday, we're pulling from Banner.
Right.
And there's about 100 students who were missing in the HR system.
Right.
And so to identify them, it'd be helpful if you could reach out to HR.
Yeah, I already did that. I think if I'm remembering in the summer, the issue was HR wanted a backing account. So when FAFSA not failed, but depleted,
Yep.
it could go to funds. So proposition may be what the issue could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for that.
Sure.
But you were talking earlier about you were talking about the SNAP earlier. One thing we're trying to do within SACAP is get them to work with their universal contract person for the vending machines so they can take SNAP.
Mm.
So one thing I'm trying to get from each university is those numbers of like how many students have SNAP or have gone to our SNAP coordinators and tried to apply or who have applied. Because like I have tangential numbers that at least 24% of our student population's on Medicaid, but that's not the same. And we're trying to prove basically to this vendor that they're missing a market.
Yeah. So I sit on a statewide advisory board on SNAP, where we're looking at how do we expand both the access to SNAP benefits, but also then the support and the resources on campuses. And we've gotten, for the first time ever, 3 weeks ago, real numbers. And those are at the aggregate statewide level. And we will be getting institution-specific numbers. So essentially, there's now a data system where the state can say, okay, I'm going to pick on Victor because he's right across from me. Victor is a student at MSU Denver. Victor is also a SNAP recipient, Department of Human Services, and we know it's the same person.
Right.
So we've never been able to do that triangulation before. So that's step one. The regulations around who can be a SNAP vendor and provider are really cumbersome. And so I know that some vending machines can, depending on the type of food that's in them. My understanding right now is that what we're currently providing in our vending machines would not be eligible, but that doesn't mean that our vendor couldn't bring in different types of vending machines.
When we've apparently already been working with said vendor and they haven't been opposed to it.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking for the numbers so we can prove instead of them being like, we're not against it, like show them they should pursue it so then we can help support students, at least have a few vending machines with maybe better options.
Okay. I will connect some dots just to make sure people are talking to each other around this one.
Exactly. That sounds perfect.
Who is it? Alyssa? Is
Yeah.
that who you're working with? Okay. Do you know if Tana, who's been working on SNAP do you know if the MSU SNAP coordinator has been in those conversations?
Well, I originally reached out to Becca actually even last
Yep.
year about this, and she referenced to reach out to Taylor. I tried reaching out to Taylor, just haven't gotten a response back.
Oh.
So, and you're just here.
I'm here. That's what I'm here for.
It wasn't
I
that I
will-
couldn't reach
I'll
back out
connect
to
dots.
Taylor, just you're here.
No, we'll connect dots. Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm gonna move it over to Victor.
Two things. Can you elaborate a little more on that SACAP point? How did you want to work with SACAP, or
Yeah.
what did you want to do exactly? I wasn't very.
Yeah, and I would say it started when we discovered that the SACAB orientation had been canceled at the last minute and sort of moved to a virtual training. And so it started a conversation among me, my counterparts at CU and CCD and AHEC about what's our expectation for how AHEC is supporting SACAB, because that should be the primary advisor. And then we, as the secondary advisors, how are we then supporting AHEC and supporting SACAB? And so it's more, it's important to us that anyone who's sitting on SACAB gets an orientation, gets some training to what the issues are that are going on the campus. It's important to us that SACAB have a formal advisor that you know who to go to and who to talk to. I've seen 3 different SACAB advisors in the last 4 years. And so we want to try to stabilize that. And then going all the way down to records, maintenance, and archiving, that your voices are being included in substantive conversations. The Tivoli Reimagine is kicking off today. So hopefully SACAB is at that table. Great. Things like that, just making sure that you're there. And I know y'all are working on other initiatives like the voting rights of SACAB at the ABOD level. And so as you're doing that, we want to make sure that we're supporting you in the right and appropriate way. There are limits because SACAB is an elected body. There are limits to what we can do as advisors to that. And so we just want to walk that fine line.
Regarding that last point to the
Yep.
vote, what would be the support level for that? Because we're talking today a little bit about it, and we would want to meet with the board for Auraria to see, so we can have that support behind this piece of legislation that we wanted to put into, so they can vote for it in the House in January.
Yeah.
And I remember when we had a meeting with Janine over food, she expressed some concerns about the vote. So there's just kind of that. You say there's support, but then I hear from Janine that it might not work out. How would MSU support that voting?
Yeah. And let me be clear, when I said support, it was, we want to make sure we're supporting your process of figuring out what you want to do, right? So getting you the right information, connecting you to the right people. Your ultimate vote is your vote, right? So SACAB will, I'm sure, vote on something at some point. I think there is alignment around the role of student voice and wanting to make sure student voice is present in meetings. So I think we're all together on that. The pros and cons of actually elevating, I'm guessing SACAB and FACAB, from non-voting members of the Auraria board to voting members. It is state law, and so like you just mentioned, the House would probably have to vote on it. The institutions need to be clear on what we can and can't support in that space. Typically, we wouldn't. We don't do a lot of lobbying on direct issues like that. I think it's hard to say yes or no without sort of seeing the proposal. And so my hope is that where we're supporting you is making sure the proposal is really tight, and that you've got all the right information, that you can proactively address any questions that might come up, and then getting you in front of the right people to read them in and get feedback. I would encourage you all to talk to Casey Gerhardt in advance. She's the university's vice president for government and external affairs. And she just sort of she's a state law nerd in a way that I wish I could be. Yeah, Casey, Kaycee. Yep, Gerhardt, Gerhart.
Maybe we could set up a meeting to see what we could talk about a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
And then second point, sorry. we were also talking about RTD today, and the town hall is this Monday that's coming up.
Okay.
And we were trying to see if we as SACAP should release a survey on our own, or is Metro, CU Denver, or AHEC working on a survey possibly that would be able to,
I
we could be
haven't
with,
heard about a survey.
okay.
Um,
Do you know who I could talk to possibly? 'Cause I know
Zach Hermson from AHEC is the one running point with RTD. Zach would know if they're doing something, but I would say if it's a SACAP initiative, work with Zach. If you want something that's MSU specific, work through your advisors and we can get you what you need in that space. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Sure. And I can only imagine what the survey results would say. And I think that's going to be an important data point for the RTD to hear. Are you all connected also to the students at CU Denver who are working on RTD issues? There's 2 graduate students. If I have the email, I'll forward it to you, Victor.
That'd be great.
But they're MPA students at CU Denver who have been talking, and I know they've been reaching out to RTD, the elected RTD board, with some questions. And so I think it might be a good synergy point.
We should bring them to SACAP meeting. Thank you.
Matt, keep in mind that we only have 5 minutes left.
More for everybody else. Some of the votes on the RTD representatives will also be on the ballot this year. So we can vote on who actually is representing us with RTD.
Perfect. Just keeping an eye on the time. We have about 6 minutes till we're starting public comment. Does anybody else have anything for Dr. Simpkins while we have him here? Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Simpkins, and sharing your time with us. I'm excited to hear more about the student housing and the food conversations. If you just want to forward Levi and I any of those meetings, since we've been already working with you on that, we are happy to hear more about it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Before we get into public comment, it looks like we still have all 3 of you here. Thank you for your patience and for sticking around for that. For the 2 of you in the room, are you guys speaking on the same issue? Would you like your time to be allocated together, or are you guys speaking on 2 separate issues?
We'd appreciate it if our time wasn't allocated together.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be that long.
Okay, no worries. I was just going to suggest, for sake of continuity, if you guys were speaking on the same issue, still give you guys each the 5 minutes, but just group it together in 10 minutes. But if you guys are speaking on separate things, we'll just leave it as 5 and 5 and 5. But just personal preference.
That sounds great.
The 5, 5, 5. Perfect. Okay, great. I think we'll just go ahead and start. I mean, we're a couple minutes early, but we have you all here. If you just want to lead with your names and if you're comfortable sharing your pronouns as well, that way if we address any of the questions, concerns you have, we know how to address you. I don't know if you guys have a preference on who goes first since you guys arrived at the same time.
I'll go ahead and go first. Hi, my name is Rowan. I'm a member of Denver SDS. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. First of all, I just wanted to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for everything that you do. I know that the position that you're in is really important, especially for student voices being represented to the university. So I just wanted to thank you all for everything that you do for the student body. I'll keep it short. I just had a question because I know that you had spoken with some members of SDS a little while ago about a survey of the engineering students on divestment from companies profiting off of the genocide going on in Gaza right now. And so we hadn't heard anything back from it. It's totally fine. I just wanted to come in, follow up, and see if there's anything that I can do to support the student government in their efforts to stand on the right side of history. It's my sincere belief that, and the belief of SDS that divestment is more important now than ever, especially given recent escalations in the Jabalia region in the north of Gaza. We just want to make sure that university funds are not going to support this in any way. And I know that that's a process. And so I just wanted to see if there's anything that I could do to support the student government's sincere efforts to stand on the right side of history. And thank you so much.
So, hello again, Levi Chi. To kind of direct comment on that, me and my other fellow TSAC counselor, Amelia Federico, have been working on the project you speak of, the survey. And we recently just had a meeting about it yesterday with one of our advisors to figure it out. We do want to push survey and push that forward and get it going. It's just kind of the issue we're running into right now is figuring out and understanding, because so MSU recently passed a policy about surveys, and ours is different from how it is. And if we want to do survey, and we fall underneath MSU's policy, we have to go through their channel. So we're trying to figure out how we would fit into that. But we do have a couple of plans outside of it. And my other counselor would like to take it from here. Amelia?
Yes, thank you, Levi. Also, hello, Rowan. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us and coming to campus on a Friday. We really appreciate your time and everybody else who has come to attend public comment. One, I want to say thank you for your follow-up. This is something that I had been meeting with students with since even before school started. And I think, in all honesty, there was a lot of different directions. There was a lot of different stakeholders in the meetings that I had. And so it was processing for me in order on how to move forward, if that makes sense. And so Levi and I and a couple other council members, what we have decided to move forward with is, and this has been talked about to my knowledge with one of our advisors, is to move forward with a survey. And a survey in terms of asking, what does this partnership with Lockheed look like? Because I think we hear a lot of times, we see the building that Lockheed has funded. We see, conversations of the internships, the partnerships. And I and potentially some other members of the student government body, the TSEC Council, are interested to see how fruitful are those partnerships. And to me, from what I have heard from students, is there's an interest in very much having an expanded opportunity outside of Lockheed, and not just having that as the one big opportunity for engineering students to receive internships. I've heard people that want to really work locally with Denver Water, solar panels in terms of engineering to still develop those skills, but just not develop it with an organization like Lockheed Martin, who is manufacturing weapons for a genocide. So I hear you on that. And I also want to name that there are a lot of moving pieces. And that's not to say that for myself, because I can only speak for myself, that's not to say that for me as myself, that I am going to let that get in my way, or let that hinder me from talking with folks, working through things with different people. And I want this conversation to move beyond just this space, Rowan.
Amelia, I'm gonna have to cut you off right there because we hit the 5
Please do.
minutes, unfortunately.
Please do. Do what you need to do, Haley. Thank you.
But
I just wanted you to feel heard and to know where the thought process is, because this is an important conversation.
Absolutely. And if you want to connect with Amelia and or Levi outside of it, they are more than happy to meet with students regarding this issue. So we can get you both of their contact information.
That would be awesome. And thank you so much for going into all of that and clarifying all that. It's really good to hear that there's interest in developing more partnerships outside of Lockheed. So I'm really excited to communicate all of that to SDS, and I wanted to thank you for your efforts in that direction.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right, moving over to our next.
Quick question. Did
Mhm.
they use up the 15 minutes?
5.
No, well, yeah, each 5.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes. Okay, moving over to our next speaker.
I just want to say really fast, this is the Student Advocacy Council. I think it's really cool what you guys are doing here. Also, from witnessing this, because it's my first time being here, is why you probably haven't seen me. I've participated in a few different public comments for different boards, and I want to say this is like the best one I've had so far because you guys actually care and listen and ask questions, and you're interested in what we have to say, and you're not just like speak and then go on with your meeting. So I like that you actually care about what students have to say. I also recognize that when 3, 4, 5 people come in over the course of a couple months and ask some things, that doesn't really give you the opinion of the entire student body, and that's why you need a survey before you decide to take action or decide to do anything about it. And so I am excited to hear that you're pursuing a survey of the student body, not the student body, of the engineering students. And also hearing that you're interested in pursuing other opportunities for engineering students besides besides working with companies that build bombs to bomb Gaza. I would also ask you to reach out to try to see if you can actually get the contract that they have between Lockheed Martin and MSU. I have it because I did a core request. I can give it to you, or you can reach out to MSU. I'm sure they would give it to you as well. Because you can look at it and read through it. You can read how many internship positions, how many contract hours Lockheed Martin gets from MSU, and how many millions of dollars go into it. I think it'd be a really interesting read for you to look at like how much we're taking our bright young minds that are going into engineering and STEM fields, and we're putting them into fields where they commit genocide. But yeah, I just say I think it's really important to the student body as a whole, and I think that you'll see that. I don't really have anything else to say unless you guys have questions. And if Amelia wants to continue speaking with some of my time, feel free.
Yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and turn it over to Amelia so that you can finish your point.
Oh, well, I don't want to take up your time. This is your time. This is public comment, but that's very kind of you. Thank you. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. It would be very helpful if you can send me that contract, especially if you already have it. That would be really, really appreciated. And I think I really want to emphasize that this is an ongoing conversation. Please, like continue to come to these meetings, continue to come to our office hours. Our office is right, the MSU Denver Student Advisory Council, TSAC. Our office is right above the Starbucks inside of Tivoli. Different officers have office hours throughout the day, but there's always somebody there if you want to chat with us. We really want to be as accessible as possible to work on projects, and I really appreciate that y'all took the time out of your day to come here and speak with us. I tend to be I can talk a lot, so I don't want to take up too much more time, but just know that this is something that I care about, other members of council care about as well, and we want to continue this conversation because it's really, really important. So thank you so much for being here, and I dropped my email in the chat so we can continue to communicate.
Perfect. Thank you, Amelia. They also have a copy on our agenda for today. You have about a minute and a half left. Is there anything else you want to ask with your time?
I was just going to ask if there's a way I could set up a meeting with someone. I could bring a couple members of SDS just to kind of show some things as well. It could be whenever, just want to schedule something during someone's office hours if someone's available.
Perfect. There were some plans in the works for that, so I'm going to turn it over to Amelia because she has a little bit more information directly to that.
Thank you, Haley. So
you got 1 minute though.
Okay, thank you. I've been with Addie and Faye earlier on in the school year. And so please use my email. We can schedule something. If my office hours don't work for you, we can meet outside of them too, but shoot me an email. And I would really love to meet with you, or I can come to next week's SDS meeting on Thursday.
If you can come to next week's SDS meeting on Thursday, that would be most appreciated.
I will try my very best.
Anything else with the last 30 seconds?
That's all I got.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our online guest, Khaled. Did I say that right this time?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Khaled. I go by they, he pronouns. And the previous two said a lot about what I was gonna say, and I was wondering if there was like any chance there could be like a referendum, and like it could just be like a yes or no left up to the students as far as like the like investment policy that MSU has, and like specifically like shifting it in a way that would see that like um, various investments that the boycott, divestment, and sanctioned movement has asked for people to fight for, to see like those investments get taken out of those certain funds and whatnot.
Amelia, do you want to take that one as well?
Yeah, first of all, thank you again. And something that I want to name is because I'm also on the UPBAC committee. So that is the University Budget Planning Committee. And so that information is very, very important to understanding why I think in my interpretation, we need to, as a university, find funding sources that are one, sustainable for us as a university who has really low tuition, and that's how things get paid for is student tuition, and finding funding sources that are not Lockheed, that are maximizing student engagement, that are accessible to students, and ultimately that are here local in Denver and that are contributing to not only students learning, but the community itself, and that's benefiting MSU Denver. And I believe that is possible. I don't think we have to settle from receiving funding from Lockheed, because let's also be clear, we don't give money to Lockheed, we receive money from Lockheed. And I know that there is a possible future where we can when we can receive funding from somebody who is not Lockheed to maximize student benefit, to maximize our benefit, and to not be taking money from somebody like Lockheed. And so with that being said, something that is really helpful when we are continuing these conversations is research for funding fillers. And what I mean by that is Lockheed has a lot of money. The military industrial complex
Amelia,
has a lot of money. And
I
so
would
we
maybe
need
turn it over to our guest for public comment because we should allocate the time to them and we only have about 2 minutes left. So I'm going to turn it back over to Khaled to respond since he put his hand up.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I think the Lockheed stuff is just one part of it. I was speaking more on like the like endowment from like the MSU Foundation and stuff like that.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, just like the STS have been given like the funds that the endowment that the MSU Foundation invests in and stuff like that. And they have like their own investment policy and stuff like that. And as far as I understand, it's like a vehicle to like invest in certain things and then make a return on it and stuff like that. And I was wondering like if there was like any way like students could like in like a referendum vote on like shifting the way that that like financial vehicle moves forward.
In full transparency, that is not something that I've worked with before, but that is not to say that I'm completely closed off to working on that with you. It's just that something at this time I don't have a lot of information on. Maybe if our trustee is here would have more information on the endowment and those relations, because I do not. But that's not to say that the conversation stops here. I just don't want to give out any incorrect information just because I haven't worked with that a lot.
Mike is not here to address that question, Amelia. We do have about 40 seconds left for this comment. Khaled, somebody else in the room has a direct comment to that. One of the students, not one of the council members, are you okay turning over the last 30 seconds to them to make this direct comment? Okay.
Also, I didn't say my name earlier. My name is Sky Childress. I'm with Denver STS. I also wanted to say the MSU Foundation, so that's not controlled by the trustees. The foundation is like a completely separate board of trustees, which is just a bunch of rich people. It's not like elected representatives. and they invest the money that's from MSU. So moving investments would not be losing the money. That's not like an income source, which just that's where we keep our money. That's what Caleb was speaking of for the referendum.
Perfect. Thank you. Unfortunately, that is all the time that I have for public comment, but Amelia put her email in the chat. She's been the one kind of spearheading this, so I would highly recommend you guys reach out to her directly so that we can have a more in-depth conversation about this and not just the 15 minutes that you guys get inside of our public comment time. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate you coming in and speaking during our public comment, and we want to make sure your needs are addressed. So please reach out to Amelia directly. That way you guys can have more time to address this.
Sending that email now.
Perfect. All righty. Next up on the agenda, we've got the proposal for the delegacy program.
Excuse me, but Amelia, your mic is on.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Perfect. I know that a lot of people kind of helped me work on this, so there's been a lot of moving parts and we've kind of changed up some things. So I would kind of pay attention to the specifics. I will get to it, but I do have a clause in here that anything within this pilot program can be added, removed, or changed. So just keep that in mind. I'm also happy to take friendly amendments if anybody has any before passing it today. So resolution to implement a pilot program for an SGTSAC delegate program. This was authored by myself and endorsed by Levi. Abstract. Student government, the Student Advocacy Council recognizes the growing interest of students across campus wanting to participate in SGTSAC due to the recent success of outreach initiatives. The council has struggled to maintain this participatory interest in previous years as demonstrated through election turnouts and the sheer lack of students that run for counselor. Further, the university has growing needs for student participation that the council is not always able to fill due to counselors' existing commitments and limited size of the council. Thus, we propose the implementation of a pilot delegates program in which students may be involved in standing committees and university-wide projects while establishing a clear pathway to becoming a counselor. This will serve as a temporary test program lasting for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and may later be adopted by the Constitution if the counselors choose. Whereas there has been a substantial number of students who have expressed interest in participating in SGTSAC or giving insight into university-wide issues in a different capacity, whereas these additional students would be beneficial to the council by giving varied input and additional insight on SGTSAC standing committees, whereas the additional students would also be valuable to have serve as student delegates in spaces where SGTSAC counselors are unable to commit. This has become necessary due to the limited size of the council and the individual's limited capacity. Whereas this resolution also aims to bridge the gap between students interested in SGTSAC and those who are elected counselors to help establish a clearer path for election purposes. Whereas this has a further goal of increasing elections participation and allowing for student government to be a competitive race in which there is a broader representation from students. Whereas the establishment of a delegates program will also further SGTSAC's goal of reaching more students and providing the student body with a better understanding of our purpose, mission, and personal efforts as a representative body. Therefore, be it resolved, Student Government, the Student Advocacy Council will adopt a pilot delegates program utilizing the guidelines listed below. This program will be in place only for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and may later be adopted into the Constitution if the council so chooses. And then I have the process kind of outlined here. So my preface, given the nature of this being a pilot program, aspects of this program may be added, removed, or changed if voted upon by the council with a 2/3 majority. The pilot program is implemented as a test to see if a delegacy program would be beneficial to the council and the student body as a whole. The design is imperfect and may be adjusted if it is adapted into the SGTSAC Constitution. The role and purpose. Delegates serve as non-elected members of the Student Advocacy Council with a focus on representing a more diverse set of student voices. Delegates assist elected counselors in advocacy efforts, policy discussions, and university-wide committee work. This pilot program provides the opportunity for students that may not have the capacity to fully commit to becoming a counselor to be involved in SGTSAC in a different manner. And this pilot program provides a training ground for potential future council members. The selection process, step 1, we are going to be sending out a questionnaire / application for interest. Step 2 is going to be an interview. So we will have SGTSAC establish a subcommittee for interviews consisting of no more than 2 counselors. The selection for this committee will utilize the same process as we use for establishing our chairs and delegates for other committees. Minimum of 1 advisor will be in attendance for interviews, and they are allowed to advise in the selection process as needed. The subcommittee will limit their recommendation to the full council to the top 6 to 8 candidates. Step 3, the council will vote on the delegates for the pilot program at a formal meeting. The subcommittee will provide an overview of the application and interview process and offer the 6 to 8 delegates that they choose for a full vote. Responsibilities for delegates will include SGTSAC will take on the role of 6 to 8 delegates that will have the option of attending and participating in any of the standing committee meetings, shadowing delegates on university-wide boards / committees, and participating in the various projects that SGTSAC is working on. Delegates will have access to information regarding all ongoing projects and all committee meetings that are occurring to ensure that they can select what they are interested and able to participate in. Each of the delegates will be assigned to an advisor to help them gain insight on TSAC, running for elected roles, and overall mentorship. The advisor will also be primarily responsible for ensuring the delegate they are assigned to is held accountable for participation and attendance. The advisors will have the option of calling on the co-chairs and the accountability chair for assistance in holding delegates accountable. The advisors also have the option of calling on any current council member for assistance in mentorship. For any disciplinary actions for delegates, including the removal of stipend and or removal from the program, the decision will be made by the full council through a vote. To ensure proper participation, the delegate must meet the following requirements. Delegates are required to be involved in either 2 committee meetings per month, commit to 1 substantial project per month, or an alternative to these options that is approved by their assigned advisor. Delegates will also be required to attend a minimum of 1 monthly SGTSAC meeting. Delegates are not allowed to speak on behalf of SGTSAC in any capacity. They should instead clarify that they are serving as a delegate that reports back to SGTSAC and that all of their statements are of their own. The delegates will have voting power within standing committees when they are in attendance at these meetings as needed. However, the representatives will not have voting power at a formal SGTSAC meeting. The delegates are permitted to help bring forth resolutions to the full council. However, will still be unable to vote on them. Any resolutions presented to the full council by delegates must be co-authored by a current counselor. Current SGTSAC counselors are expected to provide guidance and mentorship to the delegates, especially if the delegate is partnering on a specific project with that counselor. For the recognition and perks aspect, a delegate will receive full compensation of $250 a semester if the delegate attends minimum of 1 SGTSAC meeting per month. The delegate is involved in either 2 committee meetings a month, commits to 1 substantial project per month, or a reasonable alternative that is approved by their assigned advisor. Through the program, the delegates will receive the opportunity to earn direct career-related involvement experience to prepare them for postgraduate career development. As a part of recognition, delegates can be provided with reference letters from advisors upon request for professional and academic purposes. And then lastly here, I just have a timeline for the implementation. So the pilot program will launch beginning in the spring semester. This will provide time for recruitment, application review, and interviews to occur over the next month or so. This is the current projected timeline. So I have November 1st applications opening. Sometime during the week of November 4th through 8th, we will have 1 to 2 days that will be for an informational session in the SGTSAC office to provide interested parties with further information about the program. I have the application closing November 15th. Then November 18th through 21st is the week when interviews will take place. And that at our November 22nd meeting, forgot to adjust this, but it will be the committee and advisors will recommend the 6 to 8 delegates to the full council. And then the full council will vote to accept them. I will fix that in a second. December 6th, delegates will be notified of their acceptance. And then in the week, December 9th through 13th, delegates will have their first meeting with advisors. I know that was long, but does anybody have any questions, concerns? Go to Matt first.
I really like this. I just want to get clarification for this resolution on where the money is coming from.
That is a great question. I believe we calculated it to be $2,000 in total if we take all 8. My original thought was just pulling it from the rainy day fund since we don't have a set aside budget for it. However, I have not had the chance to confer with the budget committee on exactly where we want to pull the funding from. My hope is that in future years, when we adopt this program, that we will have a set aside budget for it included in probably the same budget that we have for our own personal stipends. Will.
I have a follow-up question to his question. And it's more directed towards our budget chair here. Is that something that is allowed without, or like that can proceed without a vote?
I think I'd have to look at the guidelines more closely. And I would rather have my vice chair here with me to also to give you a direct answer on that. For what I'm seeing here as a vote here for the resolution, according to Constitution, we are able to do it, something like that. But like I said, to give you a clear answer, I'll have to look at that a lot more closely, as wasn't aware too much for the funding.
We also, even without Mike here, have quorum for the budget committee. If we would like to just do a vote now, get it out of the way before I pass this resolution, that would be better.
Yeah, I would highly advise that we go about that the way you just suggested.
I'm going to go ahead and motion for the budget committee to make a vote on where the funding for this program would come from.
Seconded.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay, we'll go ahead and make the vote. So Patrick, just for clarity's sake, looking at the rainy day fund, where are we sitting at currently for that?
So the rainy day fund, we have a total of used of $3,276.17. Funds remaining is $4,172.83.
And the cost for this program, if we took on all 8 delegates, would be $2,000 for sake of clarity. Do you have the list of who all in this room we have for the budget committee? I know we need
Like,
one representative from accountability, which will be Will. For PR,
Susanna.
we'll have Susanna, since you're budget chair. I can vote as chair and we'll have Victor vote as sustainability chair. Am I missing anybody else in this room? All right, perfect. So between the 5 of us, we need 4 votes for it to pass. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I motion that if we choose to pass this resolution to implement the delegacy program, that we will pull the funding from the rainy day fund.
and that it's clearly stated in the resolution that's about to be, well, hopefully passed.
I'll add it.
Yeah, thank you. I second that.
Perfect. Any objections from the budget committee? Any abstentions from the budget committee? Perfect. I will go ahead and add that in there. That passes. Any other further questions or clarification on this resolution? Will?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first one, I just wanted some clarification on the requirements for the delegates down in recognition and perks. I guess a delegate will receive full compensation of $250 semester if they attend 1 meeting per month. Is it and involved in either 2 committee meetings a month or commits to 1 substantial project per month, or a reasonable alternative that is approved by their assigned advisor? Is that also included, or is it just the 1 meeting that they attend?
So for clarity's sake, it is the delegate attends a minimum of 1 SGT-SAC meeting per month. That is a requirement. And then on top of that, the 2 committee meetings or 1 substantial project or a reasonable alternative.
Okay, thank you. I do think that is that should be the minimum, you know. At least for $250 just to attend, you know, just thinking ahead, trying to avoid any issues. And then we discussed an issue that kind of goes against the Constitution. I'm trying to find, because I just moved
Yeah, no, you're
where I
fine.
was at. Give me 1 second, sorry. Let's see, you know which one.
Yeah, I
So-
have it highlighted on there. It looks like you're on it.
Okay. The voting power on the standing committees, which are the four main committees, only chairs and those appointed by the chair next to them have that voting power. And that this right here, it wouldn't be able to be in effect because of that language in there.
Perfect.
So I
Patrick
would-
had his hand up first and then Matt. Oh,
Mhm.
were you done?
And I was going to advise a friendly amendment to change that one sentence.
Perfect. Patrick and then Matt in response to that.
This one's a little bit, not much response to that, but more to the earlier one, just confirming as saying we just have to have the budget chair committee leaders to execute and oversee expenditures. So we can allocate those.
Okay, perfect. Matt, was your a direct comment to Will's?
Yeah, more towards that, maybe more something like a vote and like how they can share their perspective, but it wouldn't necessarily count as like a vote, as you kind of referenced in there, as a counselor. But I think it would be interesting to give them a kind of pseudo vote so they can at least like make their position and opinion known.
Stephen, did you have something to add?
Direct comment to Will and point of information. The Constitution says who the chairs appoint. It doesn't say appointment of internal or currently serving counselors. So technically, the way that reads is that they can appoint outside of TSAC. So an amendment would not be needed.
Any other further comments? Patrick and then Susanna.
So I have a question. So this is a separate program, so this wouldn't be counted as an advisory committee?
No, I don't believe so. Susanna?
My question was, if we do have all 8 delegates, are they going to be divided separately in different committees, or do these delegates choose the committee they want to participate in?
I think since that's not a direct comment to Will's question, I'm going to address his first and then I'll come back to that. I did speak to Will about this yesterday, but it was after noon and after I'd already sent it in the chat. So I told him it would have to be a friendly amendment if we were to change it. I do see the benefits of delegates being able to have voting power on standing committees. However, I don't think any standing committees really utilize any sort of voting power right now. So I wanted to bring it to the council to kind of get y'all's opinion on this specific issue on if we want to change that so that they just have a voice on those committees and not necessarily a vote. And then they still obviously will not have the vote at the formal SGTSEC meetings since they're not an elected counselor. So does anybody have any other direct comments, questions on that? Matt?
Well, I guess I'm kind of trying to think about this in the same way that we're facing issues in SACAB as well. About being a advocacy council who doesn't have a vote, and yeah, it definitely brings new perspective on why it's so hard to navigate that piece alone. I think they should have a right to at least like make their belief or their like vote like for a record, like so it's on the record, regardless of if we decide if it's like counts as a vote or just an advisory statement.
Any other direct comments, questions to that? So Will and Matt, since you guys are the ones that are speaking on this, do you guys have any recommendations for how to rework this exact line for purpose of implementation?
Right here. This one. Delegates will have voting power within standing committees when they are in attendance.
Yeah,
As
he's
needed.
reading it.
However, the representatives will not have voting power at formal SGTSEC meetings.
Matt?
So it might also depend on what committees they're in, because what kind of voting power would they have in like student travel, or like how we work with them in this budget committee before they present to us, like.
To that note, it does specify standing committees, so that would just be sustainability, PR,
But that goes to
accountability,
budget.
and budget.
But that goes through budget committee. Before they present us as a general council, they get voted on by the budget committee to come to general council.
Armando.
So just to give an example of context here, say if Susanna has two people on the PR committee, they're helping her run with events. Susanna's like, okay, we need to vote on this banner color. They vote blue, everyone else votes red. Their vote is held in the PR committee. At the end of the day, the PR committee is who brings it here to the table. So at the end of the day, their voice is heard internally. They're just as delegates. They don't have official power to come to this meeting. Now, if they do want to present a resolution or anything, they pass it through their committee. And obviously the committee chairs or co-chairs, whoever it is, should support them in moving things forward.
Will.
Just direct comment. I think my concerns are beyond just choosing colors for a PR event, especially when it comes to dealing with stuff on the accountability committee, which can complicate things more than just choosing blue or red for PR events or whatever, more simple stuff.
At the end of the day, a vote is democracy, so majority would go. So if majority people feel in one favor and that person doesn't, that's simple.
I feel as though we are still a little divided on this.
I
Matt.
also want to throw out one other thing. This is a pilot program. No matter what we do with this, we're going to have mistakes. We're going to find them. And that's the whole purpose of having a pilot program before we jump it into having it as amendment and established as what we do every single year. So, well, I think we definitely need to keep all these thoughts in mind while moving forward. And you even put in here, it can be edited kind of as needed. So I also, I guess at this point, would question whether some of these concerns are tied to the vote for this resolution or tied to the aftermath of it, of implementing it. So I'll just throw that out for the council to think on.
Since we're still kind of back and forth on this issue on whether we want that voting power or not, is this something we want to vote specifically on before we do a vote on the full resolution?
I would say we should, if we're having this much of a divide over the issue.
Okay. Will, I'm gonna let you make the motion since you're the one in opposition of this.
Okay. I guess it can be changed, which is the good part. It can be flexible. Just making sure that it is within constitutional rules, I guess, is the phrase I'm looking for. So, yeah, I mean, I motion that we vote on this
I would second that.
Resolution.
resolution.
I'll second that. Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay, to put it to a vote, I'm gonna have people indicate if they are in favor of keeping the same language that I currently have. If you are not in favor of keeping that same language and you would like for us to reevaluate having the voting power, then you will be voting in opposition, just for sake of clarity. Does that make sense? Okay. So all in favor of keeping the same language that I currently have in this resolution? Matt?
So kind of a question with that. Because I think I'm actually somewhere in the middle. I would be
Okay.
fine voting on it with the language as is, knowing with the other language you added in, that it can also be addressed and edited at a later date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Because I just don't want to stop the progress of this great, amazing program on a small hiccup like this when you've already designed it to live through these kind of challenges even after we pass it or after it may be passed.
okay. I'm still going to go ahead and continue with the vote since the motion was made. But I would be happy to reevaluate this and bring it to the full council if we want to find like something in between wording wise. For now, it's just if you guys would like to keep it as the delegates will have voting power within the standing committees versus the delegates will not have voting power within standing committees. So all those in favor of delegates having voting power within the standing committees, say aye. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which,
Shall I go through same
Amelia needs to vote.
yeah, I don't know if Amelia, are you in favor of keeping that language?
Is she there?
Amelia, are you there? It needs to be 2/3, right? 2/3 of those present or
No,
2/3? Or is
majority.
it just majority?
Majority.
Oh, so then it's majority. So we will go ahead and keep that language in there. However, I am happy to meet with anybody to try and kind of rework how we want this to look and maybe add some more specific details in there about when delegates can have a vote in standing committees versus when they cannot. Because I do think it falls somewhere in the middle, as Matt was saying. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns about the resolution in its entirety before I make a motion for it? All right.
Just to
Oh, yes,
answer my
sorry,
question. No,
yeah.
it's okay. That was kind of heated. Okay.
What was your question again, Susanna, just to remind me?
I just wanted to make sure if we have all 8 delegates, if they're gonna be separated evenly between the committees or not.
So the way that we currently have it set up, we had at first thought about like assigning them to specific committees, but we thought it may be better to have it where they can pick up specific work. So the idea of like picking up an ongoing project or attending committee meetings that they're interested in, that way people can try out a variety of different things and find what works best for them. I do see PR committee specifically having a larger need and having more substantial projects for people to work on. So not necessarily that they are going to be directly allocated to PR, but you still will have the list of tasks and be able to have the delegates pick up those tasks and attend those meetings and help with that specifically. Does that address your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Matt, did you have another comment?
I was just thinking that, especially the way you wrote it, was if any committee really wants somebody, they should put up like whatever project or task that they want a delegate for, and then the advisor and stuff work with the delegates to find the best one for that project kind of thing.
Precisely. Yeah. Perfect. I believe that was all the questions concerned. So I'm also keeping an eye on time. I'm going to go ahead and motion that we pass this resolution to implement the pilot program for an SGT SAC delegate program.
Second.
Any objections? Any abstentions? All right, the resolution passes.
Congrats.
That is all that we have for business. So I'm going to turn it over to announcements / updates. I'm keeping an eye on the time. We may need to make a motion to extend the time, but please try and keep your announcements / updates focused and short so that we don't have to do that. We do not have our Board of Trustees rep here today, so we will skip over to SACAB.
What's up, y'all? Let's see. RTD open house is on Monday. Please show up if you can. Spread the word. I was really hoping PR could put up a post or something just to let people know that there is a RTD open house if they're interested on Monday. That would be great. Again, we're trying to work on a piece of legislation to get a vote for SACAB and FACAB on the APOD. So I'll keep you guys tuned in for that, but we should be meeting and we're talking about it more next week. So that's interesting. And I think that's all I have for now.
I just wanted to add that if you can't make it on Monday, there's also a town hall for RTD on November 14th at 1 p.m. And my only other update is what I asked Dr. Simpkins earlier about the EBT vending machine stuff, because we're still trying to work on that side. I know they're working on the bigger, like getting vendors who are directly selling food to accept EBT, but we're still working on the vending machines.
Perfect. Thank you both. I'm going to turn it over to Will for accountability updates.
Thank you. Currently still working on the Constitution and trying to find more issues within it. I do think there is a lot of language missing from it currently. And I do have an update as for the timeline of it. I do foresee it being pushed back to even further than December. And it's mainly due to my availability during November when final papers are due and stuff like that. And yeah, I just wanted to be honest because it's kind of hard to just work on the 15-page document and also do like 3 final papers that are like 10 pages each in 1 month. So I just wanted to be honest with the council and let you guys know and see what you guys wanted to do or say about that, you know.
No worries on the timeline. It's something that's really important. I think it should be having the proper time allocated to it. So if it needs to take you a little bit longer because of capacity reasons, that is perfectly fine. I'm just going to still keep the same offer on the table that I made last meeting, where if you need additional people to help with insight on that, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. But no worries on the timeline. I know it's something that's going to take a process.
Thank you. But other than that, I'm trying to think. No other updates with the Constitution. We're still in the process of combining all our findings between me, Patrick, and Matt here, and Brandon's template. Thank you, Brandon, again for that. And yeah, we're still in that process.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and move it over to the budget committee. Patrick, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. Just checking in for, I think I had a conversation with Steven about the brother to brother Afro Tech. So I did contact through the email chain that we had there. They informed me that they were going to use those funding through the travel that they already sent through the previous proposition. So it's going to be for the flight, which doesn't cover all of their flight because it was about 1,875, but we only given around 1,500 for that. Further information I've been yet to receive. Also have a update for that for our budget. And give me a second here to share this. I'll give you a second. I'll just go through the OneDrive. There. Go through here.
We're going to give them a second to pull up the
Yeah.
budget, and we're going to return to that just for the sake of time. So I'm going to swing it over to PR committee real quick to give their update while we're waiting on them to pull up the budget.
Okay, thank you. Just to clarify, we did order all of the items, I believe on Monday on Monday. So except one of them might come late. We kind of risked it on that, so TBD on that. But everything should be ready on for Monday for the event that we have on Thursday. And then I did also wanted to mention that I did wanted to do a Dia de los Muertos from the show box that we have outside. I just wanted to ask for pictures to be sent to me. Most of the materials are at CMEI, so it's just like crafts and just put it on the show box, just that simple. And then for the town hall, I wanted to ask if there was a flyer already made, or do you want us to like do something about it?
Well, CU Denver already had a post, so I was just thinking of reposting theirs if you wanted to do that. But it would be coming from CU Denver, not MSU Denver. And then I could send you guys that post as well.
Yeah, that worked.
Okay, thanks. And one more thing, I did wanted to ask you that you were gonna send me photos of where the location of the boxes are gonna be at for the code drive that I could like upload them.
There's a lot of boxes.
Or like I I think I just wanna make like a graphic quick design that students could like see where boxes are at. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like simple and
I could take.
because I'm a visual person, so that works for me, and I think most students are visual.
I could take a couple photos of that and send it your way.
Thank you.
Have them like 4 different buildings, so
We also have a working list of the exact locations, so we can send
Oh.
you that and you could kind of like pinpoint them.
Yeah,
but
that could work because I could use the map of the school and like,
just kind of, yeah.
yeah. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right, are we ready to swing it back over to budget?
Okay, so just it kind of goes off of what the PR was talking about with our Halloween expense. So we'll check on that. I have the receipts here because from Armando that sent over all the purchases that we made that we sent over to him. Correct? For the purchases we asked for Halloween, Amazon. So I got that one on here. It was $161.67 in total of that. So it wasn't too bad. Actually pretty good. PR budget has changed due to that, and from our previous sale, we have a total of 25,645.87 left over. Total spent for that was 274.97. So those are pretty much the only ones. From then on, I think that's all we have to this date. Nothing too major. Just waiting for, I guess, for the further decisions we're taking on here that we have to meet. And from the 2000, I guess. That's all I have.
Perfect, thank you. We're gonna move it over to sustainability. I think everybody's heard me talk enough today, so I'm gonna give it to you, Victor.
Just a quick update on the clothing drive. We spread out all the boxes already. We are having some really good talks with AHA. Looks like there's going to be some really cool things going to happen that week. And we already are receiving donations, so that's really good. I know AACP already got a bunch of donations, but I'm probably going to see in the morning on Monday and see if we have any donations yet, but it's still pretty early. They are in Plaza, JSSB, Tivoli, and the library. So if you guys just spread the word if you can. I was gonna post up flyers just to get the word out more, but if you guys are in like your classrooms or in your specific meetings for your clubs, please spread the word out as well. And yeah, I think that's so far so good.
Matt.
Your friends flyers. Can we also maybe get some handbills?
So like just like little like
Handbills, little tiny flyers that like if we bring into our class, we can hand to people, kind of stuff.
yeah, we can definitely do that. The only other thing that came out of the AHA meeting is just that we're still looking for more people on some of the days. I think our second day is pretty full, but we're looking for people on the 19th and the 21st. And then we are still figuring out if there's anything we want to do as a council outside of just giving out free school supplies at AHA week. I just want to make sure it is focused on the actual like meaning of the week. So we still have some ongoing conversations about that. But if anybody has any input for that, or anybody that they want us to reach out to in regards to resources to have at AHA Week, please reach out. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to open floor announcements / updates. I've got a couple, but I'm gonna let y'all go first if anybody has anything. No updates? Cool. Okay, just a couple of the same things from coming from the elections group that I'm helping with. There is a Denver election site visit on Halloween. If anybody is interested in attending that, I have the links to register. Dr. Preuss has also finished setting up the elections watch party, so that is going to be in the brewery on Tuesday, November 5th. I would highly recommend you guys attend if you are willing and able to. Preuss said he's going to buy the first round, so if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. Then I am still working with Rarea Votes and CMI on that post-elections processing event. We're hoping to have Student Gov kind of help table at this, but then I'm also looking at, since it's a de-stress event, we've used masseuses before. So I reached out and I was able to get a hold of somebody who we've worked with previously, and we're hopefully going to have them be at the event. So I'm planning on having student government sponsor and pay for that. So I am planning on bringing a resolution forth next week for that. If anybody has any specific input, questions, comments, concerns in regards to that. But this seems like it's going to be a really good event. It's going to be both November 6th and November 7th. So the first 2 days after the elections, just to be a space for students to not think about the elections and just kind of relax. And also maybe not think about school and just relax. It's going to be a lot of fun things there. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me after the meeting. And then I am going to get a hold of Susanna for that partnered post with Auraria Votes in regards to students who are still looking for a way to participate in the election if they are unable to vote. I've kind of been working with Auraria Votes on that, but we just really need to get the ground running on it. And I think that's pretty much all I have. Any other open floor announcements, updates? Okay. Yeah, you got one?
For SAB. Me and Pat, we found all the necessary people for that for this year. It doesn't mean that other students can't also apply. You know, we welcome as many students to apply for that opportunity. I'm just gonna quickly do a quick rundown for our guests here in case they want to, you know, spread the word to other MSU Denver students. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'll do that after the meeting. Yeah. Thank you for that pointer, Armando. But yeah, so we're good with SAB overall, and yeah, just want to give that a quick update.
Perfect. Do we have anything coming out of Faculty Staff Senate?
Not this week, no.
Perfect. Advisors, is 4 minutes enough, or would you like me to extend the time? Perfect. Go for it.
Okay, real fast, folks, just so you all know, CMEI just posted a new professional staff position, the Associate Director for Black and African Identifying Student Engagement and Success. So if you have folks or colleagues in your networks that you know, please feel free to let them know. It is posted on MSU Denver's website as well as other positions. Tomorrow is MSU Denver's fall open house. If there is anything TSAC would want to have at the open house, please let me know. I'm happy to do that for you all and have that there at the table, at the CMEI table. In future years, maybe we can work to see if TSAC would want a table at open house. I think that would be very important. So that way prospective students can see how they can get involved. And then finally, in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, it will be election. So if you are able to vote, please vote. If you have not registered and are able to, please register to vote. That's it.
All right, for me, I just want to say thank you. Everyone who helped out with the 307 move. Furniture's in, carpets are cleaned, walls are painted. It's looking bright, nice, airy. I do want to say that there are a couple things on the Amazon list that I've been gathering that we just need to fill the space. We lost a good amount of storage, so just trying to repurpose all that. So if you have anything that you think is viable, pass it through me. I'll tell you if it is or not. But anything, get it to me by Wednesday at noon, because that's when I'll do the order. Next is great work on the delegate program. I'm super excited to see that pilot through. To the PR committee, there was no post on social media about the meeting times and dates for today. So just if you can make sure, you can put down a rolling basis on Meta's social media platform. If you need help with that, I can help you with that. And then last thing, as you are preparing for your talking points, please do have talking points. There's a lot of dead air, a lot of ums, a lot of uhs. We can get in and out. That is all. Dr. Brown?
Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry. So just a couple of things. I want to echo what both Armando and Stephen shared, and just saying really great work. I know you all are doing a lot, and you're on a lot of committees and doing a lot of really great advocacy, but I'm going to remind you all to pace yourselves too, because we're midterms and then finals are coming. And when you really think about it, we only have about 6 weeks left in the semester, and there's a lot going on, and we have fall break and finals. So just, please take care of yourselves, because we want to make sure that you all are healthy and that you're able to make it through the rest of the semester. So just reminding you of that. I also want to say great job on not only the delegate program, the refresh, I don't know what we call it, the refresh in the office. It looks really great. And I'm looking forward to how you all develop that space to be more inclusive and more inviting to students. I think that it's a really great representation of just the fresh perspectives and the new positive energy that you all are bringing to your roles and to your advocacy on campus. So just big kudos to you all on that. And then the third thing, Dr. Simpkins talked a lot about these additional opportunities to engage around giving feedback in these various forums, whether it's about RTD, safety and accessibility, and the lines to campus. And I know, Victor, you cared a lot about that. Many of us do, but I think making sure that we also get additional student voice in those spaces, in addition to the I think there will be some additional opportunities to give feedback about the public safety building. I don't know if you all are aware that that building is going to happen. And that's something that we might invite James Mejia to a future TSAC meeting to talk about. There will be a public safety building that was approved by the state that's going to be planned for in the near future. So that's I think, going to be a topic that a lot of students are going to care about and want to be involved in. So those are just a few things that I can think about. But yeah, just really proud of you all and wanting you to be able to have some pace and grace with yourselves and with one another as you're doing a lot of great work. And good luck next week with the meeting with the president. So thank you all.
All right, it is just past 1 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to end the meeting.
Seconded.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Cool. Have a great weekend, y'all.